I haven't gotten the chance to review more gaming tech stuff in a while. Now, before I started looking at controllers, I've always used my PS5 controller for pretty much all my gaming. From Windows to PS5 to Steam Deck to ROG Ally, I've always used this controller. It's because I grew up with this PlayStation format, so it's the most comfortable for me. Before this was the PS4 controller. And now I really want to try some other kinds of controllers. Whenever I do some PC gaming, I would sometimes run into some Bluetooth problems and it can get really frustrating. I would even run into some battery problems, so I end up picking up this Razer charging dock for the PS5 controller, and that took care of that. But I would still run into the same Bluetooth connection problems from time to time. And then for the Switch, I had this Nintendo Pro controller. This is one of the official Nintendo Pro controllers. It looks like this because the colors were modded from Joypop on Etsy. And I went for this kind of like white and green colorway, this sage green colorway. It was great. It works just like, it is the Pro controller. The only problem is that I've used this for a really long time, and so there are some problems with it, like some wear and tears, discolorations here, and even on the back, there's a lot of discoloration to it. And it's a really big shame that it's been discolored to this degree. Even the white doesn't look as white as before. So now we have this 8BitDo controller in collaboration with Viture. This 8BitDo controller with the charging dock. Another 8BitDo controller, Wukong Edition with the dongle. And another 8BitDo controller, the SN30 Pro. Those are the controllers we'll be checking out today. Why do I have so many controllers? That's a good question, honestly. With me always using my PS5 controller, honestly, I really didn't need another one. As I said before, I've always ran into some sort of battery problem or some sort of Bluetooth connection problem that it got really frustrating. And when Viture sent me the controller along with their Viture glasses, I've been using the 8BitDo and Viture collaboration controller, and it really did pique my interest in using other sorts of controllers. So I got my hands on the 8BitDo Ultimate controller and the 8BitDo Ultimate 2C controller. This is the 8BitDo Ultimate controller. That costs the same as the Nintendo Pro controller. Thing is that this has more features compared to this controller, and it's shaped a little bit more narrow compared to this one. And since it feels slimmer, it actually sits comfortably in my hands. The face buttons do feel a little bit closer to each other compared to the Pro controller, like very slightly. You won't notice it unless you switch the controllers like 5 times. The face buttons are also rounder than the Pro controller, and honestly, it does feel a little bit nicer than the Pro controller. The button presses are clickier than the Pro controller. And here's the Pro controller. But the rebound to it and the distance traveled, it feels a lot quicker on the 8BitDo one. But still, these are very small, slight differences. The D-pad are really mushy on the Pro controller and very clicky on the 8BitDo controller. On the Pro controller, the D-pad does feel like it's too close to the analog stick compared to the 8BitDo controller. Like here, you can see I do feel a little bit restricted whenever I go back and forth because it's just so close to each other. And then hitting the left direction feels a little bit tight on my thumb. But the Ultimate controller, it feels like it's a little bit further from the stick. And because of that, the travel doesn't let me hit the analog from the side, but I can hit it on top comfortably. And also I can hit the left direction pretty comfortably too. It just feels like my thumb is resting at the right length, so I don't have to like push my thumb back and feel locked up. The Pro controller does not have Hall effects, so they do wear down quicker. The Hall effects on the Ultimate controller does make it last longer than the Pro controller. Other than that, it feels identical to the Pro controller. Hall effects meaning the analog sticks use magnets to prevent the sticks from rubbing and then leading to quick wear and tear, which also means there's no stick drift later on. Moving on to the back of the controller, there are these nice grippy textures to it, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it a lot. The bumpers are clicky. It's nice. I like having that feedback, and the triggers are analog. I think you can change it. On the Switch, the triggers would be digital, and then on PC and other handhelds like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, it would be analog. I do like the Pro controller's triggers because they are clicky, but analog triggers are nice too. Now this is the 8BitDo dock that comes with the controller, and it sits nicely on it. At the bottom, you have the 2.4 dongle hidden away, which is nice, so you never lose it. You can just pop it back in here, and it will always have a place to live. It's perfect, because I never know where to put it, then I'd always lose it. You don't really have to use the dongle, but if you do use it, just remember to switch the modes on the back. You switch it to Bluetooth on the left, 2.4G on the right. And when you connect the charger to the dock, there's no need to fidget with it to get the pads to connect. You'd also see a light in here click to know that everything is charging and everything is right. Connecting this controller to your Switch, PC, ROG Ally X is very easy, all without the dongle too. I think if you were playing something super competitive, you would use the 2.4 connection since it's faster and there's less of an input lag than the Bluetooth, but I really don't see any big differences, like at all. There are two versions to this. One is 2.4 and the Bluetooth version I have right here. You can tell the difference with the face buttons being colored Xbox face buttons for the 2.4 and then the black and white Switch layout for Bluetooth. They both come in black and white, but the 2.4 also comes in pink. The Bluetooth one works on Switch, PC, Mac, and has both Bluetooth and 2.4 connectors, while the 2.4 one only does 2.4 and only works for the PC and Mac. These 8BitDo Ultimate controllers also has a software that lets you remap the buttons, profiles. You could set macros too, and the Ultimate controller also has a motion feature to it. I don't use that very often though. Now we have the Ultimate 2C controller, specifically the Wukong Edition. And this is not the successor of the Ultimate Edition with the dock. Instead, it is the successor to this, which feels more like the Nintendo Pro controller. This is the 8BitDo Ultimate C controller in collaboration with Viture. And between the two, there are actually a lot of similarities between these controllers along with the 8BitDo Ultimate controller. So I'll go through the differences instead. The big one is, of course, as you can see here, there is no dock. It would be super cool if 8BitDo does do a specific dock for this Wukong version, but there are no charging pads on the back, so I don't see that happening. I feel like it is a missed out opportunity because it would be super cool if there was like a Wukong style dock along with this one, like how there is a Genshin Impact version of the Ultimate controller with the dock, and it has its own dedicated like Genshin Impact style dock, which is super cool. Now I forgot to mention that the Ultimate controller also has back paddles to them, which is one of the differences between all these Ultimate controllers. You can see here the Wukong one has no back buttons, and also the Ultimate C one has no back buttons as well. The thing is that the Ultimate 2C does have extra shoulder buttons, as you can see here. There are the L4 and R4. This one does not have that. And they're both very clicky. Analog triggers, clicky shoulder buttons, and clicky extra buttons. Another difference is that the Ultimate C does not have Hall effect sticks compared to these two. These two do have Hall effect sticks. So this one would be the most similar to the Nintendo Pro Switch controller. Now out of these three controllers. Feeling wise, I love the way the Ultimate 2C feels. Everything is clicky and there's more feedback on the D-pad compared to the other two controllers. All the controllers work great, and there's really only one concern through connections to worry about. Through Bluetooth, the Ultimate C works flawlessly. The Ultimate 2C does have some problems when it comes to connecting through Bluetooth. For some odd reason, I always have trouble with it. Sometimes I get the connection, sometimes I don't. And to fix that problem, I use a 2.4 dongle. Using this dongle kind of just, takes a lot of the problems away. And I always just leave it on 2.4 now. And since I already have it fixed and connected through my computer, whenever I want to use the controller, I just switch it over to Bluetooth and hopefully it works. The Ultimate 2C does have issues connecting to the ROG Ally X, and honestly through PC sometimes as well. Sometimes it would work, but most of the time they don't. And I have to mess with the Bluetooth settings just kind of like get it to work. So I would always just switch over to the dongle. The controller only works for PC or handhelds. They don't work for Switch, which is quite unfortunate. I really did want to give it a try for the Switch, and I thought it might register as a Switch Pro controller, but it didn't. Even with the dongle plugged into the dock, it still didn't work. So out of all the 8BitDo controllers that I've shown, with the Ultimate C, and the SN30 Pro, those still work on many platforms like Windows, ROG Ally, Steam Deck, and even Switch. And because of that issue, I do like using the Ultimate the most, because in most cases I would just pick it up and use it, and I don't have to worry about the battery life either since there's a charging dock. I just never have to think about charging it ever again. When I do want to go somewhere and I'm traveling with the ROG Ally, I do use this 8BitDo SN30 Pro controller instead. This would be my go-to and main controller for whenever I'm traveling, just because it's small and it does feel really nice to use. The buttons are clicky and it's nice to hold. So whenever I'm traveling, 8BitDo SN30 Pro, and whenever I'm not, the Ultimate controller with the dock. I do know that the Ultimate controller with the dock does have a case that fits the dock and the controller, and there's kind of like a port for it just to fit the USB-C cable so that you can keep your controller charged. That's all the 8BitDo controllers. When it comes to gaming at home, I would of course use the 8BitDo Ultimate controller. Again, it is because of the easy pickup and use. I don't have to worry about the battery life. I don't have to worry about connection issues. It's easily just pick up and it connects. And if I want to play on the ROG Ally X using this controller, I could just connect it that way with Bluetooth and use the dongle for my Windows computer and just switch back and forth on the back. And that's pretty much it for the controllers. As always, a great way for you guys to help this channel out is to give this video a like, share to a friend that is considering on what type of 8BitDo controllers to get, and subscribe. Thanks guys. Peace. Oh, make sure to click on this video. This is what YouTube is suggesting for you guys.